Welcome again, everybody, to this new lecture on the summer course Strengthening European Identity Through Culture and Education and How to Manage It. We have here with us Sabah Walid Sbeinati, or Sbeinati, I don't know if I try to do my best, and Juanjo Pulido ROYO. They belong to underground archaeology, heritage, and people. They have participated as archaeologists in several national and archaeological research projects, the Spanish National Research Council, and the Complutense University of Madrid, the University of Extremadura, the University of Constance, the European Center for Upper Mesopotamian Studies, l'École Normale Supérieure, and the Spanish Society of America. They created this organization in 2009. It's a collective underground archaeological heritage and people, with which, without leaving the scientific field, they specialize in the design of processes related to community, heritage, and management. They have a lot of experiences in the field working with this topic, and they are going to share this speech from two different points of view. So the floor is all yours, and thank you very much for being here with us.
Buenos días, good morning. Thank you very much. First of all, we wanted to thank the organization for inviting us to participate in this course. Currently, the administration makes the decision about what cultural heritage is valued and included in the cultural and tourist strategies of its territory. In most cases, rightly, this element too much with the most spectacular, the best preserved heritage, which is included in important population center, historical areas, or as a part of historic roads. There are also cultural properties that directly or indirectly are studied or managed by academic or scientific world. Although, in one way or another, are subject to the law of cultural heritage too. Have some leeway when considering new proposals about divulgation, diffusion, or management. However, there is a cultural heritage that either scientifically interesting or it is in a territory outside the conventional tourist route, or not profitable enough to invest money or effort. Therefore, there are two types of cultural heritage. On the one hand, with a scientific, historical, technical, and institutional legitimacy, hardly questionable, the result usually of a top-down process like Professor Le could say, that expresses direct form, hierarchical, vertical, imposed, and elitist perspective. On the other hand, there are the initiative of bottom-up. This is of that cultural heritage can be managed socially, but always with a professional or scientific intermediation. In any case, the mediator must be sensitive to this process of socialization. Although the transmission, the communication of the disclosure of information is necessary in projects of cultural heritage or museums, we believe that these actions are not enough if we want the community, the society, or a substantial part of it empowers that cultural element. Participation is also a topic to take into account in the activation related to cultural heritage and museums. Projects in which the society, the local population, the community, or at least those groups or associations who are interested in cultural heritage can reflect, discuss, and engage on the modus operandi more so when the object of the action is the cultural heritage that which symbolizes the identity of a social group. This process will revert to development of communities, for example, from the tourist point of view, because a sustainable management of cultural heritage will make to possible a sustainable tourism in which all social and economic agents will benefit too. Social action is the last stage of the process that consists of 4 successive and strongly interrelated stages. First, to know. Second, to want. Fourth, can. And fourth, to do. And is in that stage where they could complement all disciplines related to heritage and community, and thus develop social management strategies. To know. Know the Nordic cultural heritage will enable the community interested in proposing own management strategies. That generation of knowledge ought to happen from 2 areas, from the academic or scientific, with adapted information, and from the knowledge of the inhabitants of this territory. Diffusion and divulgation project, historical recreation, virtual recovery, roads, and educational workshops give rise to the primary contact between knowledge and citizenship. To want is the second stage. It is no use trying to implement any action if there isn't social will. For this reason, it is always necessary to the work of the cultural references from the territory of those who have some linkage to it, as well as a thorough diagnostic work to know intentions and commitments. And when we talk about community, we also include ourselves, manager, because many times we forgot that we are also part of this social mass are looking for a change. Can. When we socialize intangible or heritage or related to the collective memory, it is evident there are not many academic or administrative restrictions. In Spain, however, for the implementation of action related to the archaeological heritage or the built heritage is a more complicated issue, because any intervention, although not directly the cultural element, must go through the administrative and legislative filter. When discussing about the role of the manager as an intermediary, in this case, is precisely where has a more prominent role, because this kind of project or action are the most problematic. For this reason, it is important a fluid dialogue between manager and citizen, and public administration itself to establish a set of guidelines to open the possibility of incorporating new forms of management, including community management. It's not the same of citizen participation. And finally, to do. To do, to make, remake, replicate, and communicate to know, demand, involve, and decide. It is the ultimate goal of the whole process and is the point where we can actually check whether the social management of cultural heritage is really effective and achieve its goals. Nothing that in all this panorama had a territory that was especially vulnerable and imagined a rural environment, and there was a citizens' will that have to entitle to decide and participate in their heritage resource management. We decided to create the SOPA, International Congress of Heritage Socialization in Rural Area. With this meeting, we intend to give voice to the collective and cultural agents who work in this area, and in this way, manage cultural heritage, and also give visibility to projects that in one way or another, promote the participation of citizens in analyze and design of new projects related to the cultural and heritage legacy. After gift editions have been held in Spain, Argentina, and Mexico, and this year will take place in Chile.
As Sabah has just commented, the heritage in rural areas generally are in a situation of administrative neglect, unlike urban heritage, which is thought more economically beneficial. No? However, the rural areas contains much of the preserved and endangered heritage understood as the set of built and intangible of a chronology's part of history and local stories. Inland has become the periphery of the city. Establishing a simplified comparison to the effect of globalization has enabled with regard to the central and peripheral countries. A truly democratic management, taking into account the multiculturalism, must leave the centralism to meet with equity to all sectors. We need a model that addresses to, and particularly to rural and communities inserted on it, as to counterpoise the cultural policies of any establishment that only tend to the dissemination of urban. For this reason, SOPA Congress aims to be a forum for both agents of the cultural sector and other areas, managers and citizens, that coordinate their actions with heritage and a place of conversation, theoretical and methodological experimentation, where proposed and explore joint action mechanisms. This will facilitate awareness about cultural heritage linked to rural areas and their different forms of management, emphasizing those that include citizen participation in their development. The main objective of SOPA Congress is to educate in the common, contacting, facilitating access and transmission to the heritage in rural areas, foster a true cultural democracy. Working in the collective feeling with people who wants to engage with the community, who wants to change the ways we relate to our culture, emancipate knowledge through the expansion of knowledge and co-creation on content and methodologies. In this way, we will know the different ways of seeing, try, and consider the rural heritage as a generator of wealth, enabling local actors to develop, innovate, and sustainable cultural and economic initiatives within their own territory. To achieve this objective, we think that it's necessary to work on the following aspects. Use social movements as knowledge generators and outreach, cultural activity, and putting in value the rural heritage. Encourage feedback processes to meet the needs of citizens through joint activities in favor of knowledge and protection of rural heritage. Harnessing the existing human resources, promoting collaboration of all citizens, sharing efforts and initiatives, co-create. To make society participant in his heritage and memory. Stimulate collaboration of all sectors related to the scientific and educational community to involve them in real socialization processes. Encourage the use of creative tools that facilitate understanding and the socialization of rural heritage to favor the learning and activate the ingenuity. Encourage the teamwork, encourage the free culture, the practices around shared knowledge, and the importance of sharing the ideas. Throughout these first 6 editions are nearly 1,000 people who attended or participated in the SOPA Congress, without counting the members of the community of the different places that have hosted the Congress. Moreover, more than 500 proposals and projects submitted from various parts perhaps of the world, both from Spain and from Latin America, Argentina, Chile, Peru, Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, or Costa Rica, Asia, Azerbaijan, and the rest of Europe, Portugal, France, Italy, Greece, Kosovo, or United Kingdom. The path of the SOPA has allowed us to reflect on what it takes to improve this unusual format of Congress. In this sense, these first editions led us to increase the presence of spaces for dialogue and discussion, from which encouraged reflection and discussion by the participants. For this reason, we see the need to keep building these spaces, roundtables and open dialogues in public spaces. Actions like this will facilitate the creation of positive synergies, of collaborations between institutions and projects in order to improve products and build stronger and more real ties with the community and the context in which are held, shall promote the analysis of concepts and methodologies, as well as creating a combined line of action that includes contribution from different ways of understanding and plan the management of cultural heritage. Next, we will project a video of approximately 5 minutes in which we can listen to a series of reflections by some members of the community of the city of Benito Juárez in Argentina, which was the venue of the SOPA Congress in 2015. These testimonies give us an idea of how they value the presence of the Congress in their territory and how it has transformed their vision of their heritage and how they have learned to participate and be part of its management. These people are part of groups related to education, work with people with special needs, local media, local administration, or cultural groups, among others. This gives us an idea of how we can work in community heritage management from different areas and from different perspectives.
En sí, en el momento en que se hizo, una explosión de optimismo dentro de la comunidad.
Muy bien.
Fue un intercambio muy importante.
Y una gran movilización.
Fue un orgullo para nosotros. Bueno, de mi persona, yo le digo que fue un orgullo y mis compañeras también. En nombre de mis compañeras, también fue un orgullo para nosotros haber participado en ese evento tan lindo.
Sí, a nosotros, bueno, para nosotros desde los adultos, haberlos tenido en cuenta, que ya te digo, no pensábamos en qué podíamos participar, no lo encontrábamos, pues decíamos con chicos con necesidades especiales, recién inaugurado, no teníamos ni siquiera a veces una cartera, no teníamos dinero, bueno, salimos, conseguimos, era como que toda esa semana, y bueno, lo desaparí. Tuvimos casi un año hablando del SOPA. Le pusimos garra.
Creo que la ciudad salió fortalecida y valoró un montón de cosas que estaban como olvidadas.
Experiencia inédita como comunidad, porque pudimos unirnos personas que habitualmente ni nos vemos, pero que tenían cosas muy lindas para mostrarnos y a su vez para recibir.
Que nos hizo juntar como vecinos, como instituciones, como medios, en pensar en algo más. Significó mucho y significa mucho, y creo yo que va a significar por mucho tiempo muchas cosas, porque a partir del SOPA, de lo que fue lo previo, el Congreso y después, se generaron muchas cosas más. Digo, acá nos juntamos todos sin pensar o sin mirarnos raro.
Una bisagra, o sea, fue como que marcó un antes y un después. Es como que antes no se hablaba de patrimonio. A partir del SOPA se empezó a hablar de patrimonio cultural y hacerlo masivo y que la gente participara y entendiera un montón de cuestiones que por ahí no eran tan simples.
Contribuir de una manera práctica, afectiva, comunitaria, a la reconstrucción o al desarrollo de la identidad que tenemos nosotros.
Para Juanes fue muy importante este evento.
Sí, sí, pero para usted personalmente, aprendió cosas nuevas, conoció
muchas cosas nuevas, y a su vez conocí mucha gente de otros países que fue importante para mí.
Sí, es un desafío para la escuela primaria que no está acostumbrada por ahí a ese tipo de metodología, de trabajo, de investigación. Es un desafío.
Básicamente mostró que hay un montón de gente comprometida con otra forma de ver lo cotidiano, que no todo lo que suena académico como puede ser patrimonio está lejos de lo que es la comunidad en general, y que todos tenemos algo para aportar, y bueno, nos atrapó. Cuando algo te atrapa, eso es genuino, por algo es, y es porque te toca y porque te está hablando de vos, de tus cosas, de tu gente.
Me parece a mí que demostró que podemos tener algo en común, que de hecho tenemos algo en común, pero que si tomamos conciencia se hace más cierto, digamos, ¿no? De algún modo esta democratización de la cultura que implica es muy valiosa y ya está lanzada.
Todos sentimos que pudimos aportar.
Finally, we think that our work must continue emphasizing those aspects that limit the advancement of community development in their relationship with their cultural heritage as the only possible scene, where citizens can perform a job that in a way conscious, inclusive, participative, planning, organized and coordinated efficiently allow them to improve their management's heritage. And the only way to achieve all this is common work and the involvement of all actors in our communities and our territories. For this reason, we propose, through the SOPA community, the creation of an international network about social management of cultural heritage for the development in joint projects and be able to enhance the involvement of citizens in their heritage and collective memory, taking into account different cultures and sensibilities. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please. So thank you very much. And well, here we have a very good example of when people working in the field, practitioners, and how to develop let's say close the patrimony, the heritage and culture to the citizens, which is also about and how citizens can empower themselves by the use of culture and taking into account his heritage. And my question here, and it was also very related with the presentation, the previous presentation in this course, but well, I saw you mainly work in Latin America, and this project was over there. And yesterday night we also had a discussion on this, and I was making a reflection on how do we feel as European that heritage they have over there. This year is the European Year for Cultural Heritage, and I didn't hear anyone to talk or to mention the heritage in Latin America like European heritage, because at the end it is also. It's part of our heritage, it's part of our culture, and even richer sometimes because it's a mix of cultures. Do they have the feeling over there of this is our culture, but it's very related with European culture? Do you ever think about this? How do they feel about that? Because it's a question I'm starting to asking myself when talking about European culture. I think we narrow it a lot within our borders, and we don't really take into consideration everything that was done in this case, it was colonization, but we leave an heritage over there. Well, maybe it could be an idea for a future project. What do you think about that?
Okay, I try to answer because my English, is not very good. But the first question is a very different country. Mexico is not like Argentina. It's really different, and they have a very citizen fight between their culture and their European culture. They don't want to be this relation very early. Is something that is there for sure, but in the rural area especially, they don't want to talk about European culture like a marriage of his culture. There's a very difficult border about this question. But for example, in all the countries, the Sopa make a road. In Argentina, they burned the Sopa community, and now they are working about gastronomy between Spanish gastronomy, German gastronomy, and Argentine gastronomy. There are work in a very beautiful stage of this thinking, and is a work who needs a lot of time, nor is a directly work when you have a project for 1 month or 3 months. It's a very long project to break this border, I think.
Do you want to add something, or maybe no on that? Okay, it's time for the questions from the floor. I see almost a hand here, right? Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, I mean,
Micro.
Take a sample of your college. You can all ask questions.
Journalists, that one. So no, the question is, I think in America with the cultural heritage, I have a friend from Nicaragua living in Brussels who told me, we have to talk with all the problems in Nicaragua now, people flying out of Nicaragua and all that. To speak about cultural, they are destroying, the government is destroying a lot of churches, and that's a problem. But it's kind of, again, elitist, or to talk about cultural heritage when people is dying. Do you know what I mean? Is okay, we have to protect our monuments, but we have to protect people before. So it's very difficult to go to these problems, like in Argentina, they have a very economical crisis, and then for you to speak about cultural heritage in Argentina or Mexico, with all the security problems they have there, to speak about cultural heritage is like, well, that's another world. In Europe, I think it's easier, because, there is not a war. There is Syria and the refugees and all that, but that's another question. It's in Syria, what I mean, so that's it. It was a comment, sorry.
Yes. But I think in the last years, when the economic crisis is the same discourse, no? It's not the time to cultural heritage, it's not the time to participate in cultural project. But I think this is not a good way to work with the population, because cultural project, if they have money, is wonderful, not wonderful. But if they don't have money, you can do a lot of things. And cultural heritage can be a way to resolve a lot of questions, I think.
I think that is a permanent question, either over there and here in Europe. We always have that problem on. We always think on culture like a politic and something that can work by itself with no resources, and at the end we see which is the value of culture, which is we try to to also hear with courses like this. Other questions from the floor? Otherwise, I will make also another one, because we have plenty of time. And okay, I saw what you did in Latin America, but how you translated this? Do you think to translate it into Europe? I mean, or do you try to do something similar here? Because I think the problems are more or less the same at the end. I mean, we don't have to think in Latin America like they have the problems we are. Okay, we don't have those. We have the same problem, and I think it could be a good example of making people feeling more aware of their own heritage, their own culture, their own memory. You also talk about the topic that maybe you can mention a little bit, and it was in your curriculum. This project you are working on the empowering of women, like the people who really has the heritage and the transmission power to transmit culture and heritage.
Yes, if the woman, also the rural culture is extinguishing, if women don't have to sustain this culture, I think. We tried in a lot of time working in Europe, and at the first we tried to do SOPA and other project in Europe, but for us, for the collective, we have no money. Normally our project is auto-management,
yeah.
And for the normally for the European political for make money for do the project, don't understand that they have a lot of collective group who work with these different forms to work with. We don't have a project and go to the city and do this project. This is because I say after it's not the same the participate that the community management. Community management, because we have worked with the population at the first and ask this population if what they want, what they need, no, and the culture is interested for us or not, because sometimes it's not important for this group. And normally the European politic is not representing this group, and in the other way, in Latin America, the community work is natural. They normally have a lot of things with the community group who ¿cómo es asistir? To assist a lot of problems and don't need the administration help us. And in Europe it's totally different. Normally the citizen ask for the administration what they want, and in Latin America this is the thing of the element who different the European and American community management, I think, and this is the problem. And all the award, no, ¿cómo se dice? Becas? Grant, all the grant of Europe or the help for do a project, you need to be a legacy form or to be money for do it, and they help us. But the group like us don't need money for help. Need more than this, no? And this is the problem that we don't do more projects in Europe.
So if I understand it correctly, it's like, for instance, when you work in Latin America, they are more grassroots projects and bottom-up projects. And here we depend more on European funding and we always are asking for money, and if we have the money, we run the project, otherwise there is no project. It's more or less that.
Yes, thank you very much for translate.
Yeah, it's just to summarize, to be sure I understood that, because it makes me to think in something else that is that, and it has to do also with the topic of identity we were talking and discussing before. I don't know if it was Professor Abraham or Professor Leco, but it's the way that, well, we all know that in Europe, culture is not a competence. We have the competence at regional and national level. And we used to say before that, well, of course, you have someone behind who is supporting it. The university, there is the Minister of Culture, which is restoring this monastery, for instance. So you feel like it is Spanish because you are having the help from the Spanish government. But you cannot have the help from European government because the competencies from European level are very limited. And maybe that also creates a problem of identity. Because when you see with the roads, with the schools, with the hospitals, they are European, and you sell them like European, but what happened with culture? I mean, it's so difficult to have funding to organize European cultural projects and manage European projects that maybe this create, I leave this question like for the reflections that come from your presentation also to me, like a reflection for this course and for the future debates on how to really help Europe to be more let's say, consider on cultural policy. In one of the discussions we had with Steve, in the group we have Solve for Europe, in one moment we discussed also about changing the treaties so culture become an European competence, and that is one of the main problems we are having right now. Any other comments? Yeah, questions over there?
Okay, two questions.
Can you present yourself?
Yeah, okay. Francisco Sacristán Romero. In this moment, I work in the University King Rey Juan Carlos of Madrid. Okay, the first question. In your personal opinion, what is the principal difference in methodology between the group or recepts of Latin America and Europe? And the second question, no it's a question, it's a curiosity. In the third line of the summary, I read that participate at Archeology's or in the Spanish National Research Council, the CSIC, which is specific. I work in CSIC, in the Spanish National Research Council during 3 years, 2009 and between 2012, and I want. It's a curiosity. I want to a specific research process that you work in this period or in after period. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, first the second, the curiosity. I began in my route of investigation in the
research. Yeah.
Research, sí. In the Historian Institute of Madrid. Mm-hmm. And I work in a different project, archaeological project. Okay, the Serena project. All of this in Extremadura. In this area and the Serena area in the south. Now we work with the Instituto.
Micro, please. Talk with micro. If you want to say something, always with the micro, please.
Excuse me. In the History Institute of Spanish Research. No?
Yeah. Okay. And now we work like a professional archaeologist to make some work, archaeological work for another project like Turuñuelo archaeological site, or another work with the professor in the Instituto de Arqueología de Mérida. And we work like a professional, not in the team. And the second, A ver, ¿cuál era? It's very different if you always design the project with the community. That this is normal in Latin America or in some area of Latin America, not in all Latin America. That you have a project and you try to the people in love of this project. No, it's very different because you don't satisfy that they need. And this is the most important difference between Latin America and Europe. In Spain also is the same situation. We have 3 sopa in Spain. It's a great, it's a nice sopa, it's a great meeting, but it's very different that you work with the person that are normally working in community. In Europe, I think, in Spain, for sure, that the people don't forget to know that they have a voice, and forget to know that they can do what they want or they need for his cultural heritage, but because it's their cultural heritage. It's not only for administrative laws or thinking.
So we became too depending from the administration in Spain, and there is not this social movement anymore that tries to protect and to put into value our own heritage, which is an important message to notice. Linda, well, you have one there, and then he was first.
My name is Junior. I'm from the University of Salamanca. I'm Asian. Speak about the heritage of culture in America. They have more things to consider about that. The first thing, all of country in America was some colonies. When you speak about the colonies, there are many cultures. That's from Africans, makes them almost the country in America Latin. That's from the colony of Spain, some of colony of French, and some of colony of England. But the development of heritage, of cultural heritage in America, need to consider both it's the hard power and soft power. Now, many countries in Europe try to develop what does that mean, the soft power by their culture. However, in America, when you look at the hard power that developed by USA, it's very, very difficult to see the impact of the soft power, because all of countries of Europe try to develop their culture by the soft power, by help. Like if you're looking for all the country in Latin American, that you will see of both they are similar for the Spain culture, but in the administration, there seems like the administration of USA. It is the reason that all of the projects that many countries in Europe will bring in America will be very difficult to develop, because USA tried to impact all of this country by the hard power not political and economic. But it is the reason that the heritage culture that we have in America will very, very difficult to see if there seems like the Europe. It is the reason my question, what do you think about the system that developed Europe now in America by cooperation and culture? But the cooperation, it's more like to impact about the culture. What do you think about the politics that the USA developed in America Latin, with the politics that all the country and Europe develop in America.
Okay, is a very conflict question. No? Yeah.
Is it right for you or no, the way Europe is managing the culture policy over there in Latin America through cooperation, or?
For me.
Yeah.
And I don't have many time to think about this. It's the same question. For me, the American and the European the political to diffusion or to include or to impact the culture in America Latina is the same. In the north of America Latina, for sure, America is more present, and in the south, Spain and Europe is more present. But it's the same. But I think normally you can find two group of persons. One think the America is good. This politic of diffusion of culture or the impact of this culture, but you can find a lot of people that have a fight with this thing. But for example, in Argentina, the North American culture is very inside to the population. They have a lot of war, a lot of things. I really don't know. For me, it's the same question, because the methodology of introduce, or the objective of introduce this form, or make a diffusion of culture, or is really, qué difícil es. It's really near to the economic of this country.
Micro.
Easy.
Micro.
Yeah, the question is very, very complicated.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking for the question about the heritage, that the way that you expose your speech, but now the question is not over there. It's more done because all of country that we have in Europe try to influence the country in America by culture, by cooperation, by whatever project they will do in America, try to influence economic, culture, or politics. Because not easy when you send some diplomatics in country if you invest, because all of country in America, it is the third country. They need the development, they need the project to develop. But when the country in Europe goes with some project, they have some idea to influence this country, to do some things to change our economic, our culture, our politics. This is the reason that when you speak about the heritage, is the reason that Spain try to invest more about the many countries in Latin America, because Spain tried to keep the origin of its culture in America Latin. Because if you look at the question, you need to look at more about the politics than the real culture that the Europe try to involve in this country.
Yes, and the SOPA have a very a lot of, we have very attention of this in the project. A lot of looking for there are no the municipality or something like that in Greece in the project. No, we are a lot of effort for never.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, last question. We try to be short because we are already run out of time.
Yeah, Linda Bouws, a very short question or a remark. I think that you have in Europe a lot of community projects that are people invent by themselves. So I think it is more a question of visibility than a money question. Can you react on that?
First problem is the unique problem, because in Europe there are a lot of communities doing a great project. Is real, yes. But when you, okay, us like a mediator, we need money to live, to pay a house, to pay the car and a lot of things, and we normally, also, if you work in this area, all the people understand that you work like volunteer, and there is not a real situation of all of person who work in a collective, because if you work in a collective, you understand the relation between the money and the project is different, but you need the money for do the project or for live, and I think this is the question. It's real that a lot of community have a very nice project in Europe, but normally it's a volunteer. They do this in his space of no work or free time. This is the difference, I think.
Okay, I think we could go on, but time is out and off, and we have to finish by giving a big clap to Underground Archeology for his work. Thank you.